Okay, great. Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Yes, as you now know, my name is Desmond, and myself and my colleague Anna are going to present to you the work we're doing with DG Home to set up part of the Fee Compass platform um, with content related to supporting migrants using resources from AMIF, but also from the other EU shared management funds such as ERDF and ESF Plus. Very grateful for you inviting us today because it allows us firstly to share our proposals with you and also hopefully make you aware of the platform, but maybe get some initial reaction as well from you, because I think Fee Compass has been running now for 5 years, for 7 years, and I think when we're at our best is when we're getting engagement and acting as a forum, if you like, for exchange with practitioners from all different parts of the community. So, you know, what we want to make sure is that we're relevant, that we meet a need, and that we add value to networks like the Microfinance Centre, Microfinance Network, so that we can bring something additional to the table and work with you in the future. So first, let me tell you a bit about the platform, and then I'll hand over to Anna, and she will tell you more about the specific work we're doing with AMIF. Some of you, I'm sure, are already aware of the Fee Compass platform. The best place to start for us is our website, where you can find all of our resources as well as details of upcoming events. And it also has the facility for people to subscribe. So you can fill in a small form and then you will receive our newsletter. We do 3 or 4 newsletters a year, but also you'll get notification for relevant events. And, you know, if there is a new significant development in relation to EU financial instruments. Our aim is to make the website a one-stop shop. So as well as hosting our material, we also have links to material produced by third parties in relevant sectors. And we're really aimed at a group of different types of stakeholders. We would probably say our main target group are the managing authorities. So in this case, it would be the managing authorities for AMIF funds, but also ERDF and ESF Plus. But we also have a significant number of stakeholders who come from national promotional banks, other public institutions, private financial institutions, including microfinance institutions, and other stakeholders like NGOs, consultants, and indeed some final recipients who are interested in receiving finance from that. So yeah, if we could have the next slide, please. So hopefully through reaching those that wide range of stakeholders, we can you know, publicize the potential for financial instruments in the future to work with migrants and refugees. Yeah, Nina, can you advance those slides?
One moment, because I thought I can, but there's just one issue. I'm sorry for this. I need to. Okay. One more thing, one more time. We'll do it like this because I don't know why it's... Okay, now it should work. Yeah, go ahead.
It's always the same. It worked perfectly in rehearsals yesterday, didn't it? So it's always like, yeah. So we've included this slide really to show that if you go on our website, there's already some material in relation to migrants and refugees. This is a case study that we did for our ESF partners nearly 5 years ago now, and it features this cafe in, I think, Warsaw, where they provide, as part of their their service, as well as being a sustainable business that I think provides some of the best coffee in the area. It also provides job and employment opportunities for migrants, and I think people from other marginalized communities. So we have done quite a lot of work in the microfinance sector in the past, and by virtue of the nature of microfinance, it already, I think, supports migrants and refugees as well as other final recipients. And what we hope to be able to do with this new work stream is build on that experience and provide more targeted material and hopefully reach those AMIF stakeholders to raise awareness of the potential of these financial instruments. Okay, if we could have the next slide, please. Yeah, okay, so there's three things essentially that we do through Fee Compass, and the first of those things is that we provide events. As you can see there, we've done over 160 events since 2015, and they can range from really large flagship conferences with several hundred people in a room to much more specific and targeted events where we might look at a single horizontal topic, such as state aid or something like that, where we gather people together and look at that. Yeah, as we said before, we target managing authorities, financial intermediaries, and until 2020 we largely did our events face to face, but of course over the last couple of years, like everybody, we've had to adapt and have, I think, developed an interesting variant really with our online events, a bit more flexibility, can reach more people as well, and I think we will certainly propose to continue to do some online and hopefully some face-to-face events in the future. All our materials are available after the event on the website, so that provides a rich source of sort of additional material in the form of PowerPoints, and we do record our events now as well, so they are available to see past events as well. And if we can have the next slide, please. And just to highlight one of the events that has developed more recently, we provide targeted coaching. And we mention this because we think it may well be relevant to some of our initial work under AMIF. This is where we would go and spend some time with a specific managing authority in a member state and talk about the challenges that they are facing when trying to implement a financial instrument. Typically, we would do some online engagement initially, where we would try and scope out the needs, develop some materials, and then organize more in-depth workshops, more recently online, but probably in the future we will go and visit them as well and do it face to face. And that's about unblocking and barriers. I think it's often difficult for a managing authority, particularly one that isn't familiar either with working with financial instruments or perhaps working in the sector, such as microfinance. It's often difficult for them to deal with all the challenges that can arise in a process, and I think we can help them by getting alongside them and doing that. And yeah, as I say, we're keen to promote this in the context of microfinance for refugees in the future. So if you know of any managing authorities who may be interested in that, don't hesitate to mention it to them. If we can have the next slide, please.
Sure.
And the second area of activity are our publications, and we've got a huge number of different titles now on our website. Mostly they comprise of fact sheets and case studies, including some relating to microfinance, which some of you may even have been involved in preparing in the past. So we will start developing it. I'll let Anna talk about the work we're doing in relation to AMIF in the future. But these provide a rich resource which we use in our training, but also are available for people to consult as and when needed. And if we can have the next slide, please. And then the third thing that we do is our communication and social media channels. So in addition to the website, we're very active primarily on LinkedIn and Twitter. which we use to promote our materials, also events, and when there's a new initiative that's been launched by one of our partner DGs within the Commission. We have a good library of video case studies, which we tend to use to highlight the impact that instruments can have. So success stories featuring businesses or other entities that have benefited from these financial instruments. And we also have pages dedicated to the specific funds and to each EU member state and such like. And finally, just to highlight in the left-hand corner, our Jam Sessions, which is a podcast series which we've started during lockdown to provide a new channel, if you like, to provide, that slightly less formal interaction between people from the European Commission or maybe financial intermediaries who are involved in certain activities, just to give that different perspective from practitioners, if you like, which hopefully are interesting to our stakeholders. Okay, so that's a brief introduction to what we do as Fee Compass. So maybe now I'll hand over to Anna, and she can talk more specifically about what we're doing for AMIF. Anna, and I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Des. Yes, just to mention maybe that new Fee Compass workstream we have has been officially added to the family of our workstreams. So we have currently 5 workstreams dedicated to the different shared management funds. So there is an ERDF workstream exploring the financial instruments co-financed by the European Regional Development Fund. We have another one, the ESF Plus workstream, which is dedicated to financial instruments in the social area. We have the EAFRD workstream, which is dedicated to financial instruments in the agricultural sector, and an AMIF workstream currently, so the fisheries sector financial instruments workstream. And the AMIF workstream is our 5th workstream, as that's mentioned, exploring the potential for financial instruments under AMIF, but also under other resources that can be used to support the integration of third country nationals. Our workstream bases on a work plan that is being agreed with the European Commission's Director General for Home and for Home Affairs, so DG Home, and the scope of Fee Compass, this new work stream has been agreed for the period of 3 years, for the period of 2022 to 24. And if I may have the next slide. So yeah, so here this is just a visualization of our new work stream. Maybe just to start with the main objective of this new AMIF Fee Compass work stream. With our activities, we intend to provide an advisory platform for our main stakeholder groups, which are the managing authorities, but also all other stakeholders, such as, for instance, microfinance providers, which are interested in exploring the potential of financial instruments in the area of integration of third country nationals. And we do that through awareness raising and through capacity building and other advisory services, as Des mentioned beforehand, to our key stakeholders. And here for this particular work stream, we will focus on exploring the financial instruments in the area of integration of third country nationals, with a focus on early stages of integration, because this is in accordance to the scope of AMIF. So this will be our main focus point. And based on our exchanges with DG Home colleagues, but also based on the experience what worked well in the other Fee Compass work streams, we have elaborated in the late 2021 a work plan, which I'll quickly present right now, and which we think that might help really to get financial instruments in this area going. Maybe just a small disclaimer: whenever I mention this term integration of migrants, we mean with that the integration of third country nationals who recently arrived in the EU. So, for instance, it does not mean EU internal migrants. So for instance, if a French person moves to Luxembourg to start a business, for instance. So if I may have the next slide. Yes, our first activities have been to focus to create a visual identity for this new Phi Compass work stream. So we have created a logo. This is it is corresponding to the other Phi Compass logos, and yes, as you can see, the color that we have selected together with DG Home colleagues is the purple one. So this is also part of our other graphic elements that we have created, PowerPoint presentations, also the professional templates for our publications and so forth. And if I may have the next slide. Oh yes, and so Des mentioned that we have our Phi Compass website, which includes fund-specific pages, so pages related to the different shared management funds, ERDF, ESF Plus, etc. And we have and they compile basically all resources relevant to financial instruments under the respective fund. And we have created such a page already for AMIF as well, and this page will be now gradually populated with additional new resources that we will produce. It has already existent and relevant Phi Compass resources, which Des already has mentioned. So, for instance, the video, the ESF video that you have seen is the and many other Phi Compass generic publications, such as a fact sheet describing the different financial instruments products, for instance, in the understanding of the regulatory framework of shared management funds. We have also plenty of learning videos, case study videos that are relevant for this particular and thank you, Eva, for the link for this particular work stream. There's also, of course, a possibility to share external resources in this area. We have already some link to the CB to also the easy BDS pilot, and look forward to other inspirations, what resources could also be helpful, because our idea is to become this a one-stop shop for all resources related to financial instruments supporting projects in the area of integration of migrants. If I can have the next slide, please. So yes, we produced as part of our first activities a short promotional video. It highlights the needs of third country nationals recently arrived to the EU, how financial instruments as a delivery tool of EU policy can play a role to provide support to this vulnerable group, and also how Phi Compass can support interested managing authorities and other stakeholders. So if Nina, I can ask you to play this video for us.
Yes,
Hopefully the technology
it will
work.
work. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Can you hear the sound?
Nothing yet.
There was no sound, yeah? So I need to change the, let's wait a moment. I need to do it in a different way. Can you hear the sound right now?
No.
Of the video? No.
No.
But the video has not started yet. Okay, so you, one moment. I'll do it again.
Nina, why don't you simply follow the link I posted in the chat and open the video from that link, because it's actually right there.
Oh yes, I will do it in a moment. There is a the last link, yeah? And now I just need to share my screen. I have a small problem here. Can you hear my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
we can see the screen. And the video doesn't work?
Normally, when you share the screen, there is an option to share the screen with the sound as well. So you might unshare the screen and then share it again and click on the on the functionality to share with sound.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And it's something I practiced yesterday. If it's not going to work, maybe we could.
Maybe we can move it as well to the
or
end.
Also each of us could watch it in a.
Nina, if maybe we can proceed with the presentation.
Yeah. Okay.
Anna, if you don't mind, and Nina, if you meantime can make me a co-host, I will be able to share the video.
I've just done it, Eva. So maybe you can do it now.
But can you do the other? Can you do the my other profile, the one that? Can you just choose my other profile?
Yes, I'm trying to do this.
I can also continue with the presentation.
Okay, maybe let's continue with the presentation because I think a little bit stressed out at the moment.
No worries. This is technology. This is also our bread and butter in FICompass. we also thank you very much for playing our slides. This has been one lesson learned for us as well when we do our own webinars because we have experienced as well many times issues with presentations. So it's always good if it's centralized. And apologies that we gave this responsibility to you as well with playing the video.
No
I
problem.
will just continue with the next slide. So
I want to make sure that you see my screen right now.
Yes, we see your screen, and if you can pass on to the next slide and just share it in the presentation mode,
yes, of course.
should be fine. Perfect. So yes, in terms of the workstream, we thought that it might be good to start with in terms of our written publications with a document that is a single. Easy to read, easy to digest, not too long publication related to how AMIF financial instruments could look like, targeting our managing authorities, so our main stakeholder groups, but also all other financial instruments, just giving a small introduction to the topic of what are actually financial instruments under shared management funds, and how this could look like if we consider such financial instruments in the area of integration of third country nationals. And we are this first publication is currently in the last revision loop with the Commission. We really hope to, in the next days, that it will be published, and we will also communicate this document strongly. This publication puts in one place all information on what financial instruments under shared management funds are, and specifically with relation to AMIF. So we start with a reference to the European Commission's action plan on integration and inclusion for the 2021-27 programming period. In this document, the European Commission has established 4 main sectoral areas for the AMIF support in this period. This being, as you see it in the table of contents, so it's education, employment, it's health and housing. And further on, the factory confirms that financial instruments can be used as a delivery tool to support these thematic areas because AMIF is now part of the family of funds, of EU funds that are called the shared management funds. It is under the Common Provisions Regulation, and the Common Provisions Regulation presents different delivery methods of EU policy. One is, of course, being grants, and it still remains. The other one is, for instance, as well, financial instruments, so those revolving instruments. We also have in the fact sheet a first view where we estimate that financial instruments might have the biggest potential in the future. So this being, and this is why we think that this forum today is also very important, the main area where we think that financial instruments can really materialize with support from AMIF, but also ESF Plus, is microfinance. To target migrants, inter alia migrants, but also housing, that probably would be an area where other funds come in more strongly, and also social impact financing. The document as well presents the benefits of using financial instruments to all the involved stakeholder groups, so to final recipients, to managing authorities, and to financial intermediaries, so the bodies that are implementing the financial instruments. And why we think that this was an important thing is that because we need to there is a certain grant mentality in the stakeholder groups that are used to maybe receiving grants, and we need to show that why financial instruments are actually might be a more effective and efficient way to use public resources to support this area. And financial instruments provide a long list of advantages and to the different stakeholder groups, and they have worked as well in challenging other areas, such as, for instance, the area of ESF Plus, right? The social area is not an easy area for financial instruments. Obviously, it's financial instruments have the potential to be successful delivery methods if there is especially if there are projects which generate revenue or which allow for savings, which then allow to pay back the support, right? But still, there are very good examples how financial instruments in those challenging areas have worked in the past in ESF Plus, but also, for instance, in the agricultural area where grants have been always very natural form of support, and it was also difficult at the beginning, or challenging in the beginning, to convince of the advantages. But now the area is really thriving in terms of the financial instruments being used successfully in the member states. So we hope that this part, we think that this part of the benefits is at this stage of promoting financial instruments really important, and the document, this fact sheet includes a part about that. The fact sheet as well includes a part about the different financial instruments products types, so loans, guarantees, equity, because and also how they can be structured when we think about using co-financing through a shared management fund such as AMIF or ESF Plus. Important thing is that in this programming period, there are new opportunities to combine financial instruments with grants. That means that is really important also in terms of those benefits. No, we do not say that the grant part needs to disappear. We say that on top of the grant part, there can be still financial instruments additionally combined to enhance the support to the final recipient. And this is an important message of the fact sheet, alongside as well as that there is a potential of synergies between AMIF financial instruments and other EU funds, such as the other shared management funds, the ERDF, the ESF Plus, for instance, but also, for instance, the InvestEU and the social window of InvestEU. Lastly, the fact sheet explains briefly the implementation process of financial instruments under shared management funds. So how does a managing authority get started if they really want to consider the use of financial instruments? The publication includes as well 2 or 3 of real-life examples of schemes supporting migrants that are existing already, not with the support of AMIF, but with other support, but which can definitely serve as for inspiration for the managing authorities and other authorities here relevant to our to our 5 Compass projects. One of those examples that is featured is the business development services support under the easy microfinance guarantee. So for this microfinance target group here, there is a relevant example. And the document will be hopefully, as I mentioned, published in the next couple of days. I will maybe now change the next slide to speak a little bit about our other bigger publication in the pipeline. So Nina, if you could maybe change the slide. Thank you. The other major work that we are currently involved in is a 5-Compass AMIF study, which will provide analytical information to managing authorities to use for their ex-ante assessment. So the decision if a financial instrument would make sense in a specific area should always be made based on some sound analysis of the market needs and of the financial gap in the area. This is relevant for our here AMIF potential financial instruments, as well as all other financial instruments that are being implemented in with co-finance with shared management funds. So, for instance, ERDF financial instruments, ESF plus financial instruments, and this is done through the so-called ex-ante assessment, which is this analysis that is even included in the Common Provisions Regulation, the regulatory act, which under which AMIF as well falls under. So, in order to help those managing authorities because the AMIF managing authorities would be for the first time doing such an ex-ante assessment, such an analytical work, 5-Compass in the form of the study would prepare the market assessment information for them in a form so that they can use for their own ex-ante assessments. And the study is planned to include an analysis of the market tendencies, the demand and the supply side for finance for projects in the area of integration of third country nationals. And based on this, the study will provide an assessment of the financial gap. And in the study, we also will look at the different areas where there might be the biggest potential for financial instruments, which I mentioned earlier, which includes as well microfinance. The study would also look a little bit into the specificities that might exist in the different member states, because of course we know that the member states are not obviously homogeneous. We see as well, for instance, if we look at Ukraine, that it was already mentioned today before that the influx, for instance, of the refugees from the Ukrainian people fleeing their country and settling then in the member states is very heterogeneous in the EU. So the different member states might have different needs as well. The demand and the supply side analysis usually includes as well exchanges with the respective stakeholder groups. This is done, for instance, through interviews and focus group meetings. So we would probably as well involve some of you to a certain degree as well in this analytical in this data basically gathering part. And hopefully from 2023 the findings of the study can be then used by the managing authorities and any other relevant authorities for their next steps in advancing with their financial instruments, because financial instruments do not need to be let's say implemented from the very beginning of a programming period. Managing authorities can actually decide at any time during the programming period to start implementing or considering the financial instruments. Of course, they need some time until the end of the programming period so that the financial instruments can really develop itself. But still, we think that that 23 will be a good moment, for instance, to provide this data to the managing authorities so that they can use it further for their considerations. So that is about the study. And may I maybe ask for the next slide? Nina?
I'm here, yes.
Yes,
just
if you can change the next. Yes, thank you very much. So this has explained to us the format of targeting targeted coaching that is quite a successful tool of our advisory broad spectrum of our advisory offer. So from our experience, the targeted coaching is really often the real first step in order to seriously consider financial instruments by a managing authority. It is done without any obligations for further actions, without any additional costs, closed door environment, allowing to a free exchange of opinions. So we hope that this format will become as well a part of our activities here in this new FI Compass workstream, and that we can soon start with already a first targeted coaching seminar with a specific, because it's an individual direct advisory offer to a specific authority. So we hope that we will start that very soon. This mentioned as well our FI Compass newsletter. I can just recommend to anybody who has not yet signed up for our FI Compass newsletter to do it directly after this workshop as well. The latest newsletter has already included an article about our new AMIF workstream, and as well it referred as well to the general Ukraine solidarity package as well, and what is being done as well from the Commission, as well as from our side. So I can definitely recommend you the newsletter article. Maybe I can later on post this as well in the chat option. And we will continue, of course, to use our newsletter, which has I think around 5,000 recipients as a communication tool to promote further our new resources that will be gradually published, and as well to promote just examples of financial instruments in the area of integration of third country nationals, also financial inclusion and microfinance. We are also planning some podcast episodes which are quite easy to produce and very appreciated by our target groups. Delivery tool of our advisory or awareness raising. We plan as well thematic workshops, bigger events, further publications, but this is more into the further future. So yes, if I may have the next slide.
Yes. Oh.
Maybe just yes to maybe to conclude that we are aware that that advancing financial instruments under AMIF to support projects in this area of third country nationals will be a challenge. It's a new topic. As I mentioned, the stakeholder groups are used to receiving grants as well. So there is the changing in the mentality that needs to occur. But we see definitely that although this is not the easiest area maybe for financial instruments, that there is a potential, a high potential. It's a long-term process. We saw it when we started our advisory work on, for instance, the agricultural side. It took a certain number of years until that progress could be seen. But we do hope that that also in this area, financial instruments under shared management funds will at some point start to materialize. And for us, it's always good to exchange with experts like you, and we would really appreciate to hear from you how you see that FI Compass could be of help to stakeholders such as managing authorities, but also for you by yourself. So that's all for us, for me, and I pass on to you, Nina.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anna and Desmond. And this now we have quite some time to have questions from you. I think in a moment maybe that would be the best if just anyone that has a question just unmute himself, herself, and ask her, have some suggestions or comments for the already presented presentation. So we have 10 minutes for it. Are there any comments?
Maybe I can just mention on, I had now the hat on of FICOMPAS, but I can also maybe mention on behalf of the EIB that I don't know if you have heard about the Embrace advisory platform that has FICOMPAS is of course just dedicated to this group, to the topic of financial instruments supporting the area of migrants, but there is also the different other parts in the bank that are touching upon this topic. For instance, in terms of more project related support, there is of course JASPAS, our colleagues from JASPAS, and there is also the European Investment Advisory Hub, or which will of course take form of the Invest EU advisory hub for the next programming period. And all this support is now put together under one name, which is called Embrace. And I'll post as well in the chat the link to that website. Basically, it's a contact form as well for potential stakeholders if they need, so for instance, national authorities, if they need support to receive advisory support, maybe in this area. Of course, this is an EIB support, so it would probably be connected to lending. There is a contact form, and if you are in contact with potential stakeholders that might be interested in knowing more, thank you very much for forwarding that information to them.
Yes.
So simply, Anna, I understand that actually, if MFIs would like to be interested, would like to learn more about the support available within FICOMPAS, they can kind of contact you to get more information, or they can relate, or they can pass on both the information about FICOMPAS and Embrace to the national stakeholders, to pass on the information so that anybody who, any interested stakeholders in digging into the topic more can contact both initiatives directly.
Exactly, and for microfinance providers, we definitely suggest them to also create a profile on our website, because then they will be also informed about any new published resources, or if we do events. And for instance, the MFIs, as part of the group of financial intermediaries, as we call them, are really always an important group. They are also represented as you as well by yourselves, the EMN, the MFC, as well as our events as speakers. So so that's why it's always good to be connected directly as well to our format, to our website through a profile, so that all our mailings reach the stakeholders. And in case of a specific request, we simply encourage MFIs to approach us. There is a contact form as well, and this information is always forwarded to us. So in case there is a specific idea already for a financial instrument, for a microfinance scheme, where we can be of some help as an advisory platform, the MFIs are welcome to directly approach us as well through our normal contact form on the website. Des, I see you on the screen as well.
Yeah, can I just maybe just to add just some thoughts at the end, and I'm conscious that we've got our colleague from MicroStart here as well, because one of the things that for me, that an early sort of light bulb moment, shall we say, a moment of inspiration, was I was reading about the MicroStart work they were doing with the Roma community in a city in Belgium. I can't remember which city it was, maybe Ghent, maybe.
Ghent.
But
Ghent.
yeah, and how that was a piece of work which I think you were doing for an authority in there, and that struck me as quite a nice model that that we could describe to an AMIF managing authority and say, you know, you can go and commission microfinance institutions to do this work for you. You gain a partner and their expertise, and that's part of the added value you would get from working with a financial instrument rather than just giving grant to the refugees in that city, as you get the whole non-financial type of support as well. But what I think we will learn from the study, and why we hope we can engage with your network and with other practitioners, is where the gaps are, because we've got the big easy guarantee, and that is really powerful and really effective, and we know it makes difference. And so, but where are the gaps which relate to migrants, third country nationals, which these AMIF resources could be used to address, so that we can describe those to the managing authorities and help them understand, you know, where they are needed and where they're not needed, where they can step away from. You see what I mean? So not for today, but it's something that I hope we can get over the next few months and years as we work on this sector.